August 15, 2025, while much of India was celebrating the arrival of the monsoon season, a horrifying tragedy struck the state of Himachal Pradesh. Days of relentless downpours turned the once peaceful Himalayan slopes into giant bombs of mud and rock, crashing down onto villages tucked in the valleys below. Landslides, flash floods, and inundations swept through hundreds of communities, swallowing homes, destroying roads, killing hundreds, and leaving thousands of families homeless. An entire state was plunged into grief and devastation, haunted by memories no one could forget. Himachal Pradesh is a mountainous state at the foothills of the Himalayas, where steep terrain and fragile soil make the land prone to collapse. It has always been vulnerable during monsoon season, but never before had the locals witnessed floods of this scale. Since late June, heavy rains had poured almost non-stop, and by August, rainfall levels in many districts had exceeded historical averages by more than 70%. In some places, nearly 800 millimeters fell within just a few weeks. The ground became waterlogged, the slopes unstable, and disaster was simply waiting for the right moment to erupt. In Mandi, a three-story house built on a hillside was buried completely under a torrent of earth and stone. 7 family members were trapped inside. Rescuers later recovered 4 bodies, while 3 others remained missing beneath the suffocating layers of mud. Not far away in Kulu, another landslide swallowed a small house. One resident barely escaped by leaping through a window, but 2 other family members weren't as lucky. In Shimla, the state capital, multiple villages were cut off after massive landslides destroyed bridges and buried roads. Residents recalled hearing a thunderous roar like an explosion, and within seconds, an entire hillside collapsed onto their community, taking away homes, livestock, and innocent lives. Across the state, the scene could only be described with one word: chaos. National highways were blocked by massive boulders, trapping hundreds of cars, some of which were swept away by raging floodwaters. Bridges snapped in half, electricity and water systems collapsed. Over 55,000 households endured long blackouts, with thousands of transformers destroyed and hundreds of water facilities out of service, leaving people without power and even without drinking water amid the storms. Schools were shut down, children forced to stay home for weeks. Farmers saw their fields submerged in mud, tens of thousands of livestock killed, and entire livelihoods wiped out overnight. Witness accounts made the tragedy even more haunting. A woman in Mandi recalled trembling. "We heard a huge blast, then the ground shook violently. In seconds, the whole house was gone. We only had time to hold each other and run." A survivor in Kulu said he never imagined landslides could strike so quickly and fiercely. "It felt like the whole mountain was falling on us. That nightmare will stay with me forever." The immediate cause was the abnormal intensity of the monsoon rains. Meteorologists explained that when vast amounts of rain fall in a short time, the already waterlogged ground loses stability and collapses. But deeper causes ran beneath the surface. Climate change is heating the Himalayas faster than the global average, accelerating glacier melt, loosening soil and rock, and making monsoons increasingly unpredictable. At the same time, unsustainable development has worsened the risks. Large swaths of forest have been cleared for roads, hotels, and tourism projects, stripping away the natural shield that once held the soil together. Infrastructure projects rushed into fragile zones were easily swept away by floods. The consequences were not just statistics on a chart. Behind each number were families torn apart, children left homeless, farmers staring hopelessly at fields erased by mud. Over 300 people had died since the start of the monsoon season. Hundreds more were injured, and thousands of families lost their homes. Nearly 35,000 livestock were washed away. Economic losses soared to staggering levels impossible to recover from in the short term. People were forced to live in makeshift tents, facing shortages of food and clean water, as well as the looming threat of disease. Beneath this suffering lies a painful question. Why do people continue to live in such dangerous terrain? The answer is survival. Life on mountain slopes is never easy, but for many, it's the only place they can farm, raise animals, and keep their families together. Some tried moving to cities, but high costs of living and scarce jobs forced them back. For them, staying despite the risks of every monsoon remains the only option. That is why every flood, every landslide in Himachal Pradesh is not just a natural disaster, but also a stark reminder of both human resilience and human vulnerability in the struggle to survive. Experts and authorities stress the urgent need for both immediate and long-term solutions. In the short term, the state must expand early warning systems to give residents time to evacuate before disaster strikes. Safe shelters must be built, equipped with power, clean water, and basic supplies. Rescue forces need modern machinery to reach cut-off areas more quickly during floods and landslides. In the long run, Himachal Pradesh needs a sustainable development strategy. Deforestation must be halted and ecosystems restored, since forests are critical shields against natural disasters. Infrastructure should be designed to withstand extreme weather, with reinforced bridges, drainage systems, and slope protection measures. Urban planning must avoid high-risk zones. Most importantly, global climate change must be slowed through emission cuts so the Himalayas don't keep heating at an alarming pace. The 2025 flood disaster in Himachal Pradesh is a bitter reminder that nature's power can exceed human imagination. In a single moment, an entire village can vanish. A whole community can be torn apart. Yet the tragedy also highlights the bond and resilience of the people here, those who cling to their land and homes, even knowing that each monsoon season is a gamble with fate. Nature is sending us a clear message: climate change is no longer a distant issue. It is happening now, right here in small Himalayan villages. And sooner or later, it will knock on the door of every nation, every city. We cannot stand aside. Action must start now, from small choices like saving energy and reducing plastic waste, to global policies aimed at cutting emissions and building sustainable futures. A safer tomorrow can only be achieved if we act together. If you found this story important, please hit like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more content about nature, climate, and humanity. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you won't miss the latest updates. Please note, some images in this video are used for illustration purposes and may not fully represent the actual events.